Hi, I'm Sam Ekstrom, and welcome to this brand new BCTV production where we look at some of the top teams and players on the local sports scene. It's South Suburban Spotlight right here in the BCTV studios. Glad you're with us. Today we have a couple special guests. Head coach Tyler Krebs of the Burnsville Blaze football program, who led his team to a 9-2 season, and eventually Kamal Martin, the quarterback, who'll be headed to the University of Minnesota to play football next year. But we begin with Tyler Krebs, the Burnsville Blaze head coach, in your 5th year, I believe, at the helm for Burnsville. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, it's not college where you're off recruiting every corner of the globe during the off season, so you do have a day job here at Burnsville.
I'm an English and business teacher. My passion is technology education, so part of the reason why I came to Burnsville 5 years ago was there's this TV studio inside the school and the ability to kind of start that program. So I mostly teach video production and multimedia classes.
Well, you know, obviously we're here to talk about football, reflect on your terrific season. You made it to the state quarterfinals, one of the best football seasons around here, maybe in 2 decades. At what point did you realize that this was a special team?
Well, I think when I got here 5 years ago, you know, I knew about the 8th grade group, which is what this group was, the senior class, and I watched them play and met a lot of them. And the big thing is 5 years ago we started a strength program and we started to install the things that we're doing, and we talked about having a 5-year plan. And so this is the group that came through for 5 years, and obviously the most exciting thing for me as a coach is watching them grow and improve. It was a great group. They worked extremely hard, and everything that happened this year was because of all that work they put in.
Let's take a look back at the end of the 2014 season, where I think you started to show flashes of what this year's team could be. You had a great win against Apple Valley. You had the playoff upset against Eastview. Not only your team, but Kamal especially really showed some great tools at the end of that season. Did you feel like that was sort of the start of this team showing what it could do?
I think it was a springboard. I think, you know, football, sports, a lot of it's mental. So, you know, for me, I believed from day one, and I thought we had competitive teams from the first year we were here, but we had an injury here or something that would happen to kind of derail it. And, you know, again, that group of seniors, a lot of them played as juniors. You know, that was a big win against Eastview in the playoffs, and we competed against Eden Prairie. I thought we physically matched up well. So, you know, those guys knew they could do it, and a lot of them are coming back. So, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that end of the season for those guys as juniors was really big for them, you know, to kind of go into this season.
You had 2 new coordinators on your coaching staff this year, Jim Carlson and Vince Farkas, and it seemed like they really were incorporated without a hitch.
Well, you know, we talked 5 years ago about trying to have a consistent coaching staff, and we've really tried to do that. It's been difficult. We've had some great people that we've lost for various reasons, and unfortunately we lost our offensive coordinator about a week before the season started this year. And you know, we were so fortunate to find Vince. You know, he had been at Burnsville the year before I got here, as coached at the college level, just a really great football coach, and so adding him to the staff was a godsend, you know, especially that late into the process. And Jim Carlson's a guy that also has been a head coach, been a coordinator, coach at the college level. We had, you know, these guys reached out, you know, to me and said want to be part of the staff, and anytime you can add somebody of their quality, you do.
That 2014 team, your weakness was probably the defense, but this past year, your defense was phenomenal, allowed roughly 10 points per game. What did you do to get that unit turned around?
Well, you know, I think mostly we just were bigger, faster, and stronger. So again, it took us 5 years to establish a strength program, and you know, we try to play our best players on defense. We believe you win championships on defense. So, you know, I thought, you know, 2 years ago we just gave way too many big plays, and a lot of them were mental breakdowns, and we weren't good enough to, you know, capitalize on those mistakes and overcome them. So, but this year, you know, again, these guys, they were bigger, faster, stronger. They made fewer mistakes and played better, and that's a big reason why we had the success that we did.
Was it kind of tough, though, to decide that you're going to take some of these great athletes, Ben Olsen on the line, you've got Max Cantrell on defense, you're taking Steph Olsen off the field for a few games, even Kamal was taking drives off to focus on the defense. Is that kind of difficult to say we're going to take these offensive weapons away and just make them focus on the defensive side?
Well, you know, I've been coaching now for 20 years, and you know, I've watched Eden Prairie, you know, for all those years, and they've always won with defense. And the great programs, if you look around the state, they always win with defense. So we talked about needing to have guys on defense that could match up athletically, and obviously it's pretty rare to have a quarterback at this level, a 6A level, play defense, but we were a lot better when Kamal was on the field, and same with Max and Steph and Jackson and Ben and Andy. Those guys made sacrifices. Ben Olson's an offensive lineman and Andy Samuel's an offensive lineman, and they knew that the best way for us to win was for them to play defense, and so it says a lot about them to really sacrifice individual things for the betterment of the team, and we had a lot of that this year.
I think one of the most impressive parts of your team was the versatility in your players. Now, you mentioned to me that you teach them 2 positions going into each year. How do you train them so well in that regard?
Well, that's our goal. We have 11 practices in the summer that we can do, and then all through 2-a-days. Our goal, and we talk about it every day, is to create competition in depth. So we're going to teach every kid an offensive, defensive position, because you never know with an injury or something that might change things down the road, and it just makes us better. So we don't have 100 guys on our sideline like some other programs do. We have to create that competition in depth by playing guys both ways, and we were fortunate that we stayed really healthy this year, and we had great kids on the field.
So you start the year 2-0, and you take on Lakeville North, very good opponent, on your home field. You've got the lead late in the 3rd quarter, and it slipped away. It could have been a statement win at that time. How did that loss help you stay focused and hungry for the remainder of the season?
Well, you never like to lose. I think, but if you do lose, I think there's a lot to be learned from it. And so for us as a program, we had to kind of reevaluate. We were playing at that time a number of guys both ways, and it was a very hot, humid Friday night, and we got tired in the 4th quarter. And so we talked as a staff and talked with players and said, okay, we're going to change a little bit, and we're going to have some guys focus only on offense and some only on defense. And we played more players, and I think that was better for us as the season went on. So. I think every loss you try to find the good in it, and for us, it was a learning experience for us. We played against a perennial state power, and like you said, we were right there. We had the kickoff return. I think really was a play that we'd like to have back, and but we learned a lot from it and got better from it.
So you fast forward in the season a little bit. Now you're 5-1. You're taking on Rosemount at home. Rosemount's won 20 some odd regular season games in a row. Another very, very good team that you're welcoming in. You get behind the 8 ball early, a touchdown, a turnover, a touchdown, bam, it's 14-0 Rosemount. And as a lot of people know, you come back and you win that game late. How did your kids have the belief, and how did you as a coach have the belief to will the team back to victory in that game?
Yeah, again, that's a tribute to our senior class and our leaders. We were down 14-0, and I think really the key point in that game is we got the ball back and drove down the field and scored. So that initial drive to bring it back to 14-7 was huge, just because, again, it's a great team. You don't want to get behind because they play very good defense, and it was just a great statement for our guys to respond and to make plays, and we made huge plays at the end of the game to win it. I think as a great program, you need to beat great programs, and we hadn't done it yet. We had beaten a few teams and been close, and we needed that win for several reasons. It kept us in the conference race, the district race. It kept us in, for a home seed for playoffs. So we talked about it before the game about how big the game was in many ways. And for us to go down 14-0 and then come back and win at the end of the game was just very satisfying to see how far this program has come.
So you're co-champions in the South Suburban Conference. You get a 2 seed in the playoffs. You take down Forest Lake and Edina in the postseason, both at home. How special were those crowds? And in a broader sense, how did the community react to this stellar season?
This is a football community. Again, part of the reason why I came here is I grew up in Lakeville, playing against Burnsville, coached at Eastview, coaching against Burnsville. I really felt like this is a city and a community that really would rally behind a football program, and they have. And we want to be a football program that makes the community proud with the types of kids that we have, and I think we're doing that. And I think when you do that and you play football the right way, the fans are going to come out and support you. So it was an unbelievable experience to play the game at home, to hoist up a section championship trophy at home, and to have the student section on the field after the game. I think there were some players that didn't leave for an hour or two after the game. They just were really soaking in the moment. And for a program that hadn't won for a while, it was very rewarding.
Not to open up any old wounds, but the Maple Grove game did end your season on a neutral field. Just kind of got off to a weird start. It was raining, kind of a funky evening. What was the feeling like once that game ended?
Well, really disappointed, first of all. I thought we played our worst 5 minutes of football at the beginning of that game, and they're just too good of a team to do that. And we were able to do it against Rosemont, but sometimes you can't have that same luck again. So, I thought we were talented enough to win 3 more games, and so that was a disappointing part. But just then the part of being super proud of the kids and what they accomplished, and what a magical season, and just very happy for them to be able to experience it, and for their families, and for this whole school community to be able to kind of rally behind the program was just a lot of fun.
What do you have to say about your quarterback, Kamal Martin, going to the U of M next year to play some football?
Well, he's a fantastic young man. So I mean, obviously a great football player, and we were very fortunate to have him on our team, but he's got a really bright future ahead of him, and I'm excited selfishly to be able to to drive up and watch him play in college, and watch him on TV, and it's just a real blessing to have kids like him in our program. And we had a number of them. Our entire senior class, all 25 of those kids are people I'll always remember as kind of turning this program around, and so this is a very, very special group.
You also had the privilege of having former Viking David Dixon work with the offensive line. What was it like to have someone who's been battle-tested in the trenches in the NFL working with your kids?
Oh, he's again, our entire coaching staff is outstanding, but to have David, who's had unbelievable experience at a high level. He lives in the district. Kids go to the district, and he's a guy that doesn't need to work, and he decides to donate his time. So. Again, another huge part of the reason why we had the success we did. He's a great reason why our offensive line was so good.
A 7-1 regular season, you win 2 home playoff games. Obviously, when you're in the season, you're probably more focused on the day-to-day grind. You don't want to look too far forward or too far back. But now that you've had a couple months to step away from it and kind of reflect, have you been able to put in perspective what you accomplished and feel good about it?
Feel great. I mean, I think, again, to me, the best thing is when you've got a great group of kids. I mean, I think just a wonderful group of seniors, and to win a first conference, which is called District Now Championship in 20 years, and a first section championship in 20 years, is an unbelievable accomplishment for them. And I was just happy to be part of it, and they've kind of raised the bar for our program, and our goal now is to try to do it again. I mean, I think that's what great programs do, is they've got a great senior class that comes through, and then the next year's group needs to pick it up. So that's the goal now, is we're back in the weight room trying to build this next group of seniors and juniors and getting ready for the next season.
Well, I know you were joking with Kamal off camera whether he has any eligibility left. Unfortunately, he doesn't. What's the next step at quarterback next year, and how do you proceed?
We have big shoes to fill in a lot of areas. Again, it's 25 seniors that all had a huge role. We're fortunate we had a number of underclassmen that played, this year, and they'll now become that, it will be their legacy to leave, so the guys that played this year will need to have a much bigger role next year, and some other guys will need to step into different spots. So the quarterback spot, like every spot, like I've always said, is going to be open to competition. We've got a junior, Andrew Hansen, who I think will be very good. We've got a couple sophomores and a couple freshmen that also I think will be very good. So, they're working hard right now, and we're getting ready for the next season to start.
Well, thanks, Coach. Want to hang out for a little bit? We'll talk to Kamal, and then we'll get you both back together and watch some highlights from the season.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Now we're joined by Kamal Martin, former Blaze quarterback, future Gopher. Kamal, obviously, congratulations on a terrific high school career. Is it surreal to think that it's over now?
It is, to be honest with you. I mean, growing up through this program has been a blessing, and just to think it's going to be over is a hard feeling to have.
How long have you been playing football?
Ever since 6th grade, so what is that, about 6 years?
Yeah. What made you choose football over another sport as your sport of choice?
Well, I grew up playing with my brother, outside in the backyard and stuff like that, and after a little while he started training me a little bit, and I just fell in love with it ever since then.
The way you took care of the ball this season at quarterback was incredible. I think you had only 1 interception in the regular season. What kind of adjustments did you make going into this year to improve your play at quarterback?
I think that's a tribute to our team. I think we pride ourselves in making few mistakes and we really just focus on that. And if we make few mistakes, then not few things could go wrong during games.
Well, it must have been nice, too, to have Steph Olson back there you could just hand the ball to and he could do work.
Exactly. He's a special talent, I should say.
What kind of training did you put in last offseason to get yourself ready to play both ways the way you did?
With Coach Solly being here for 5 years already, he did a lot for our team. He put a lot of effort in to make us faster, bigger, and stronger. So we kind of just followed his path and just took off with it. And we all got bigger, faster, and stronger, and it paid off during the season. You
have a lot of cool wins in your career. You had, I think, 3 playoff wins, Rosemount game, a couple cool wins over Apple Valley where you came back. Is there any that stand out as your favorite?
I would say Rosemount, because it kind of defined our senior class of we all grew up together, and just to have that win under our belt is a blessing.
There were a lot of big impact players on this team. Who do you feel is kind of the unsung hero of the team, who maybe didn't get the credit that they deserved, who really worked hard, did their job, made a big impact?
I would say the whole offensive line and defensive line. I mean, they put in loads of effort with Coach Dixon and Coach Scholl, and they didn't really get too much credit or anything like that, but they deserve a lot of it.
I remember the Maple Grove game. Unfortunately, the season ended there, and it was emotional for you and all your teammates. What was that reality like to realize that it had come to an end?
Well, first, we didn't play our best game. That was the disappointing part of it, is just knowing that we could have played a lot better, and having it end like that, it was disappointing. But looking back on it, the season was magical and something our senior class would never forget.
As you look back on your high school career, how do you feel like you've changed as a person from your time in the program?
Ever since I've been in this program since 9th grade, it's just set me up for life. I mean, with Coach Krebs and his philosophies, there's no better program to be in.
So looking ahead to next year, you're off to the U of M, you're staying home, going to be a Gopher. Initially, you were going to go to Eastern Michigan, and then you flipped it, and now you're coming to the U. What went into that decision?
I went to the camp July 17th, and me and Coach Krebs kind of talked about it and decided if I should go or not, and I ended up going. I ended up getting that offer, and my family and I decided to take it a week later.
I assume Jerry Kill was involved in the recruiting of you. Were you surprised when he decided to resign this past fall?
It was surprising. At the same time, it was very saddening. He was a role model. He was a father figure to a lot of people in Minnesota, not even the players in general. So Coach Clays, on the other hand, he's a great guy. They both have the same philosophies, and nothing will change.
Have they given you a hint what positions they're going to try you at this year? I mean, maybe quarterback. Mitch Leidner's not going to play forever.
Actually, I'll be playing outside linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah, switching on the other side of the ball.
Are you excited for that switch?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Do you have any idea what major you're going to be pursuing?
I'm leaning towards kinesiology right now, or computer programming.
Well, definitely we'll be watching your career going forward. We appreciate your time. It was a blast watching you on BCTV and getting to call your games for the last 2 years. So thank you, Kamal. We're going to bring your coach back in, do a little film breakdown. Sound good? Coach Krebs is back in the picture. Welcome back. We've got Kamal Martin along with his coach to look back on the season that was. We've got 7 season highlights that I'd like to take you through. You guys can throw in your 2 cents. I'll guide us, but otherwise let's just enjoy the season that was. So we've got the first game of the year against Roseville, and at this point nobody's seen Ricky Jackson. That's your defensive end. We have no clue what we're going to see up in the booth, and suddenly this monster comes out and is just sacking the quarterback every which way. And here's one of those notable Ricky Jackson sacks. Coach, how valuable was he on the defensive line?
Well, you know, it's a great story. Ricky was a Burnsville kid his entire life, and when I watched this group as freshmen, I thought he was the most talented kid in the class. I mean, he was doing things as a freshman, squeezing down, spilling blocks, chasing people down that you just don't see very often. And his family moved to Shakopee his sophomore year, and I think Ricky didn't want to move, but it was a family decision, and obviously we were really sad to see him go. And I really didn't talk to him at all for a whole year, and I believe it was the day before our kickoff bash his junior year, he just showed up and said, "Coach, I'm going to come back to Burnsville." And the family didn't move. He had his license then, and he wanted to drive back. And we talked about, if you come back to Burnsville, you're going to have to sit out a year because of the transfer rules. And Ricky said, "I just want to be around my friends and be in this program." So his whole junior year, I mean, he was an all-conference, all-metro, all-state kid, never seen the field, and came to practice every day and was a scout team nightmare, and really put in a lot of work, and then finally got to see the field. So I mean, this is the first time he got to play in a game in 2 years. So I think he had 2 sacks and a number of other plays, and yeah, no one knew about Ricky until this game, but he's a fantastic young man, and we're really glad that he ended the season with his friends.
Well, he was very explosive off that defensive line. What was it like to play with him as a teammate? I know you were in the same class, Kamal.
I just knew he was going to do his job every single play. He knew his reads, he knew his keys. He squeezed down if the offensive tackle blocked down. He was just a great player, a great athlete, especially at the defensive line position. I've never seen a guy run so fast at that position.
We got another play from the same Roseville game. Now, I don't want you to give away company secrets here, Coach, but the surprise onside kick worked for you twice this year, including here against Roseville, even though they've got about 10 guys. What made you think that this was going to work?
Well, we practice every situation. We have an onside kick, a couple onside kicks every opponent. We have a fake punt, fake field goal, all those things in. This situation here, we scored a touchdown and they had a personal foul penalty. So we had the ball 15 yards closer. So you're kicking off from their 45-yard line. So if you kick it in the end zone, you're going to get at the 20-yard line. If you onside kick, they're going to get at the 35. So I'm not much of a gambler, but in this situation, if we get a situation where we're kicking off from the 45, we're going to do some type of onside kick probably every time.
Well, speaking of unique kicking plays, now this one is just out of my own curiosity. You usually use the swinging gate kind of formation on these extra points, which you'll see here. You line up with an unbalanced set to the left. Now, what is the purpose of this, and what does it have the potential to do?
Yeah, again, it's we'll have 3 different fakes or 4 different fakes depending on the week. You can see we got a guy coming in late, but normally we've got a receiver on the right-hand side. You've got the center. If the center's got an eligible number, he's eligible to go out. You've got a quarterback, so Corey's a quarterback that can throw it. We can snap it to the left directly to a running back. So we get lined up, they check the sideline, and we'll make a decision if we just want to kick it or do one of our fakes. And I don't think this year we used any of our fakes, but it's always there if we do want to use it. Do
you have a special teams coordinator?
Matt Holden's our special teams coordinator. I think I take pride in really being involved in it too, and all our coaches are. We spend 20 minutes every day at practice in special teams, and so I believe it's an equal third of the game, and I think we won a lot of games this year because of special teams, and a lot of our guys, Kamal's on special teams. A lot of our guys are because it's so important to win that phase of the game.
Now we got a touchdown play from the Farmington game. Corey Carlson under center. Was it nice to know that Corey could come in, he could give you a break, and he could, do things like this?
Definitely. He's a great player and a great athlete, as you could see. This is probably one of me and Corey's favorite plays. We tricked a lot of teams with this, so it's just great to see him get one too, and it was fun.
I think Coach Hansen would be pretty proud of this. We talked to Dick Hansen, the legendary Burnsville coach, all the time, and I know he talked to Corey and Kamal about ball fakes. So I think this is like Kamal said, his favorite play probably. It's an unbalanced set, and we run a lot of plays to that side, and then we always have counter plays and play action plays off of those plays. So this is a situation where as soon as we see that we feel like we've got it open, then Corey or Kamal or one of the coaches will say we think that the naked is there, and they'll hang on to the ball and run it.
Let's get into the epic Rosemount game. So here it is, 14-0, Irish on top. Doesn't look great, but you come back, you score a touchdown on the very next drive, and Kamal, I got to say, I think this was your finest pass of the season, an absolute bullet to Wingy.
Yeah, what we saw here was 2 high safeties. Well, no, 1 high safety. He crashed down right away to the inside post, and was just wide open over the top. And credit to Wingy and the offensive line. They're great players.
This was, I talked about this earlier, this was a huge moment in the game for us because we were down 14-0, and then this was the drive right after that. So to be able to come back, and again, Rosemont's got a really good run defense. You have to be able to throw the ball against them, and like you said, it was a perfect throw, perfect catch, just a really good play. Kamal hit it on the head. He and Keenan were kind of connected at the hip, for the last 2 years. They would go out and work out on their own, throw and catch on their own. They're best friends, and in that that relationship went out to the field as well.
Okay, my favorite play of the year. Carlson's touchdown against Rosemount to win the game. You can't see the clock on the screen here, but there's under a minute to go. We're in the closing seconds. Kamal, you drive the team down, you get him in scoring range, and you punch it in. I'm practically hyperventilating in the broadcast booth. What was this drive like for you? Because I think you had to make about 3 or 4 throws for first downs.
Coach Fark just told me to stay calm, and that's exactly what I did. I just found the open man. On this play, they had a one high safety again, and I told Corey, I gave him a signal to run a backside post, rolled out, and then he one high safety bit down. It was wide open, so kind of worked out in our favor. So.
And when you say one high safety, let's take another look at this. And when you see one high, what does that mean?
So he's right here, one high safety. There's only one safety in the middle of the field, and we had 2 receivers. So I kind of looked that way to get him moving, and he bit right away. So I just stopped my feet and threw it.
Coach, do you remember your reaction when you saw that this was a touchdown? Was it a fist pump? Was it a chest bump? Did you go up to David Dixon and do a secret handshake?
No, I'm not like that. What I did is I looked at the clock and then tried to figure out how we're going to win the game. So, as a coach, you're always thinking 1 play ahead or 2 plays ahead. So I was thinking about kicking the extra point, our kickoff team, and how we're going to try to keep them out of the end zone to end the game. So then when the game was over, we could celebrate.
Finally, we moved to the playoffs. You're taking on Edina. Weird conditions. It's cold, it's rainy, low scoring, and Steph Olson Jr. makes this big play to basically seal it for you. Kamal, how did it feel at this point to know that you were headed to the state quarterfinals?
I just took a deep breath. Stefan's a great player. He always makes big plays for us. He's a definition of a playmaker. I actually thought this was going to be a touchdown because I let off Evan Holm, who's another great athlete. I let him off the line. He was just wide open, and Stefan just ended up making a great play. There's nothing else.
In this game, we had I think 3 interceptions like that. To kind of they drove. We kind of bent but didn't break, and made plays. And that really was what this group did is we made plays and found ways to win. So it was a lot of fun. Like I said, a real memorable moment to look at the field an hour later and still see players and fans, on the field, passing the trophy around, taking pictures. It was just a wonderful night.
It's been a pleasure. BCTV thoroughly enjoyed the season and covering it, and we're glad that we can let it carry on through this show. So thank you for your participation, and good luck going forward.
Thanks. Thanks to BCTV. We enjoy the coverage quite a bit. It's a lot of fun.
That's Coach Tyler Krebs and Kemal Martin on BCTV's South Suburban Spotlight.